Do your fucking intro.
What?
Do your intro.
Ring ring ring, hello Simps and vegans, and welcome back to Krown's magical dancing cave!
Whoops! I was taking my own little dumpity dump this morning and I forgot to set up. Oops, apologies on that one. Anyways, let me just turn on the lights over here. It's goddamn dark in this cave, so get ready to see the back end right now. Here we go, baby. Yes, we're live. We're fucking live again, and we actually have the light of Gandalf and the Balrog in the background right there. Anyways, we got plenty to talk about with Bitcoin today, obviously, because Bitcoin did hit the bottom side of our $47,000 region from yesterday's analysis, of which when bounce, sir. Anyways, that's gonna be the topic of today, obviously. So we'll be getting to that soon enough, but I want to show off a few new things with the app that's going to be upcoming in the next week or so. Let me just double check on the timing of this. Yeah, I think about a week or so from now, we're good to go on that one, and I'm actually very, very excited about this. So let me turn off the alerts for right now. I don't want to get distracted by my own stuff going on right over here. But holy fucking moly, man, we already got 800 people watching in the morning, and it is well, it's a very early morning, I imagine, for most people out there. So good morning to you. Welcome to Krown's Crypto Cave. No, welcome to the Air Krown Crypto Channel. No, welcome to that weird place on the internet where we talk about that magic internet money business and we get a little bit strange sometimes. Anyways, I also want to say a massive thank you for the 250 likes on this video right now. That is insane. Thank you very much, and very generous as well. So as always, want to be very appreciative of that. And wish everyone a nice and happy and healthy start to this nice little Tuesday or Wednesday. It's a Wednesday, I think. I think it is a Wednesday, at least according to my calendar, which I actually trust. It is indeed a Wednesday, which is good news. Anyways, what else is good news over here? We do have a sale going on. Of course, I should let you know about that. As always, do not rush into anything. Make sure that you watch the promotional videos that accompany all of the programs in the store on the Krown Chain application, which of course is free and can be found in the link description below. And they'll let you know who they're for and who they're not for. And then you can make an educated adult decision for yourself if it's relevant to you or not. So with that in mind, I do want to go into something very, 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 very new over here. So there's going to be a new update to the app coming in about a week here. It's going to actually require us to take the app down for like a few hours, just so that people have a little bit of advance warning to that. And obviously we'll let you know as time approaches sooner. But basically what we're going to be adding is a lot more customization features going on over here. We'll actually be able to get a lot of this data on an hourly feed as well, rather than a daily feed. So I wanted to kind of showcase a little bit of it today because it's actually rather useful and rather important to my own analysis. So I wanted to first bring up this open interest chart over here. By the way, you can even actually customize the way that the chart looks if you want it a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger. That's all good in the hood. But for myself, I like it of this size, and I want to be putting on an hourly right now. The reason why is because I want to see what essentially was done in the last 24 hours on this move where Bitcoin essentially pulled back from the $52,000 range highs into our $47,000, or kind of around the range lows. Not necessarily there just yet. That would technically be just around $46,000. But as you can see, we did see a lot of leveraged positions being taken off the boards right there, going all the way from about 14.3 billion with 14.3 billion all the way down now to 13, just around 13 billion. So a little bit more than 1.3 billion being shaved off, aka liquidated, or just taken off because maybe they were forced to, maybe they decided that it wasn't worth it. But ultimately, that does provide a little bit of a short-term reset. Here's the thing, though. We'll be able to match this up with very, very important data soon enough in another update after this one, which actually should be hopefully happening a little bit sooner now, as we do have a lot of things set in place, which is really, really good. And we'll be able to add CBD data on top of this as well. So we'll be able to match up the open interest, correlate that to the cumulative volume delta, and then we can come up with some pretty interesting analysis on just the general trajectory of this asset. Again, applicable to very low term time frames. So I also want to be doing the same thing on the funny rates over here. I'm actually going to pull this one nice and big and move some of this babies around. There you go. You go over there. You also go over there, and you definitely get the fuck over there too. Hey, stop that. Hold on. I want to put this one nice and down here. By the way, the liquidations tab taking up a little bit more space than what I probably should have done right there. Fuck it. All right, well, I guess this is the best that I can do for right now, because I'm a little bit new to the internet and can't figure out how to fucking, god damn it, just get smaller again. There we go. You go down there. No, you won't go down there, bastard. Oh, motherfucker, man. Motherfucker. Anyways, we should go to the hourly right here. You can see on the funny rates that it actually has come down significantly from yesterday, which was right around, or just actually right above parity at 0.01%. Technically got up to about 0.12%, meaning that longs are paying, essentially the going rate to hold their long positions. But of course, when Bitcoin price action is coming down and rejecting the top side of the range, that is going to be rather painful, suggesting that a lot of people actually market longed into that drop. And of course, when they market long into that drop, well, they have a pain point to the downside. You can see over here that the open interest was suggesting that they were getting absolutely fucking shredded on that move, unfortunately. And now you can see that the funny rates have actually come down significantly. It is pretty much right around 0%, which is, in my opinion, below parity. Parity being about 0.01%. That is essentially what you expect, all else equal, essentially. And that would suggest that we actually do see a lot of people entering into market short positions, probably right around here in this case. Again, it is a little bit difficult to get on the very short-term timeframes, just because there's going to be obviously a balancing between those two positions. But you can see over here on the daily that we do see lower highs on the open interest. No, I don't think that it necessarily works like that. Although, funnily enough, the trend actually has, for what it's worth, actually has been working on the open interest. But I would not say that I'm comfortable suggesting that that is going to always hold to fruition. The reason why is because I haven't back tested it, but it actually seems to be working pretty damn well over here. Anyways, put in a bit of a lower high right there. Probably does come back down to those regions. So that's something that I'm kind of watching out for right now. I don't know if that's going to hold true or not, but just something, as a working hypothesis going onwards and forwards from here. If we do see it come back down into this region, I would call that a bit of a reset on Bitcoin's current range, that range being between about $52,000 to the upside versus about $46,000 to the downside. And if we did see, Bitcoin essentially, well, or not Bitcoin, but the open interest get shredded back down towards that 11 billion marker or so, that'd probably be a decent indication if that running thesis is going to be quote unquote correct. Anyways, what also I want to be showing over here is in relationship to the fear and greed index. Now, if you didn't know, on the Krown chain application, you can actually freely set alerts on price action, on fear and greed index, on pretty much anything actually that or any of the data that we host on there. So what I've done is I've actually put some alerts on the fear and greed index. By the way, all this is 100% free, which I don't believe that you can do on TradingView for the free accounts, but anyways, I just want to be knowing when the fear and greed index gets over like a 50 read, just see if we do see that as a bit of a reset. And also when it gets under the very fearful zone, which is 25. So what I'm going to do is under right here, we're going to go 25 right there and set in a few alerts. It'll actually put the alerts on your desktop, which is actually kind of cool and very, very useful for myself, just as like, something to be aware of, as it does kind of judge the overall analysis as we kind of begin going back from the last few weeks here. Obviously, when Bitcoin was in the very, 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 very fearful zone in like the low teens, those were some, pretty damn good buy regions, as we were suggesting. So I just want to be aware of that, have those alerts on, and now we can move into the actual analysis itself. I need to finish off this coffee over here, man. Got my Star Wars Wookiee cup over here, which is good because we just watched the second episode of The Mandalorian, and Elsa is a Star Wars fan now. She actually loves Star Wars. She said that it was stupid before, but now she's been enlightened because she just didn't know, man. She just didn't know, and that's just Finnish people in general. They talk about shit that they don't know, and I'm not a fan. What the fuck? But what about Baby Yoda? Is he not cute, sir? Let me turn down the volume over there as well. Hey, what's up, Bear Nutrition? Good morning to you, man. Christina Maria, Chris Biolo. Who else do we have in here? 420, my fucking man over there. David Sonari, appreciate that emoticon as well. Nikki Page, good morning to you over there as well. I believe that are you Australian or from the United Kingdom? New 333. Hey, what's up, man? Willis, there he is, as always. Beautiful, man. Fucking beautiful. Rocky G, another lovely moderator. Do we have all of our moderators here today? Yeah, we got African Crypto Warlord, the man. Oh man, I can't wait to announce what we have going on with him. Jack Frost, Nimbo, Filson. Holy shit, it is a bit of a full house today. Bit of a Filson house today, actually. A little bit of that as well. All right, let me polish this off over here, and then we'll get into it in just a second here. Is good. Kenny Byron says, hi from Belgium. Nice, man. I've actually only been to Belgium, but through like a train, and it looked pretty cool. I don't know. It looked like there was a lot of fields and shit there. It's nice, actually. Very, very low key. Very, very relaxing. All right, cool. So let's start off with Bitcoin over here. Actually, maybe I should record this. All right, let's start it off with Bitcoin CME. Following up on yesterday's analysis, we had these little LARP lines drawn in here as a essential rejection. Sorry, not necessarily a rejection, but a failure of the 49 400-ish region that we spoke about yesterday, and that did initiate our move down to basically test around this falling channel that we broke out of about a week. About a week earlier on the 21st of December, right on over here. Now, again, as long as Bitcoin is within this overall range between about $52,000 to the upside versus about 45 $45,500 to $46,000 to the downside. I actually do still look at this as more or less good long term, but that does not mean that Bitcoin can't come back down to even test a little bit lower than this region. If we do go into the daily for CME, there's a very obvious setup right here, and the setup is this. Look, as long as Bitcoin's below, especially the 200 simple, it is a lot more likely to test to the downside into that 46-ish area, give or take about $500 from that area, than it is not. But if you do see, especially a closure today or tomorrow above that region, which is just around 48,000 and about, let's say 700, as it will be ever so slightly moving down right there, that would be a really good indication for Bitcoin in the short term for once again being in a position of power. Again, however, what is an actual confirmation of a break to, of the upside of the range, initiating targets back up, not just to, $55,000, but realistically looking probably somewhere back around about $58,000 to $59,000. That would still be above $52,000 right here. And you know what I'm actually going to be doing right now? It's actually going to be moving down the major area to be aware of from that prior $54,000 region now to 52. I do think that that is the most relevant region to be aware of. Of course, if you are a little more conservative, you probably do wait for the $54,000 region, but ultimately I think that is going to be more or less one and the same. And still, any sort of a closure on a higher term time frame above $52,000, maybe even on a 4-hour time frame as well, as Bitcoin did get some pretty obvious rejections there on both spot and CME in the last 48 hours. I would feel comfortable and confident saying that Bitcoin, yes, very likely does make its move pretty much right around this region over here, at which that's going to be your next big bad test. By the same token, to the downside, this would be your bad zone, so to speak, down below 45,500 or so. Just anything closing on a new lower low would not be interpreted as, good. Obviously, that would be continuation of trend, which, to be fair, Bitcoin does have a bearish setup right here. Not only are we on a downtrend, but if you are playing the Krown cross strategy, you are looking at this as, well, not the best, I would say. And what do I mean by not the best? Well, you see very low volatility pulling into a lower high. Yes, it is on the 21, not necessarily on the 55. So a little bit of a discrepancy there. I do want to ideally see them on the 55. And we do see that Bitcoin would have an ever so slight drive of hidden bearish divergence, I believe. Let me just double check. Between this point, which is 48.16 versus our most recent one. No, actually it is not there. It is actually just below. This is inconsistent with what we see on spot price action. So Mr. Moonbear, I think it was in the Discord yesterday, asked a really good question about this. Do you identify this as a setup on spot? Yeah, absolutely. It is a setup on spot. I mean, you see multiple drives of hidden bearish divergence come off that last rejection. Bitcoin tests actually directly into the 55. Volatility is a little, it's okay right there. It's not perfect, but it is acceptable. You don't necessarily need anything, things to be 100% perfect, but ultimately, given that sort of a setup, it's the same thing as what we see on CME below about the 200 simple. As long as Bitcoin's below about 48,700 to 48,800, let's say, I should be looking for some more downside based off this, to be fair, to be 100% directly clear with you. And if we go over here into our medium and higher term timeframes for Bitcoin on CME, we're actually going to see daily Stokes turn to the downside with any sort of a closure below about 46,850. So that is going to be a major area to be watching within the next day here, just because if Bitcoin does close below there, that is at minimum going to very likely imply another test down towards about 45,500-ish region. And could that just lead towards a general continuation move based off of the setup right here? Yeah, absolutely can. However, I still do retain a few points of hopium. That's what I mean to be saying. And I cannot get personally myself super bearish looking for major continuation moves down towards, probably our 4th of December lows at about $41,000, $42,000 until Bitcoin does close on new lows. If you go over here to the 2-day on spot price action, which is closing not today, but tomorrow, we do, and by the way, the 2-day on spot price action is actually really good. It has a much higher hit rate than the daily, for example, and it's kind of akin to what you do expect on a daily for CME. Just from my own back testing, those are the results that I've essentially found. But on the 2-day over here, we do see that the 200 simple has been kind of governing our lows. A lot of our wick lows in the last, realistically in the last like year and a half, actually, if you go all the way back to November 2019, you can see that the 200 simple right here, represented by this white moving average, has gotten the major lows right in over here. Yes, we did have a few wicks below, but no opens and closure below. This obviously did produce, a rather nice move to the upside, almost a little bit above 50% right there. Did catch a few of the wick lows that you did see on this consolidation after the old flu dump, which, can't expect TA to really be working on a fucking flu dump, trajectory like that, except for trend, which trend was to the downside, to be fair. And then more importantly, more recently, we do see it catching the lows on the bear trap that we saw in July, and then more recently our 4th of December lows on that very fateful day of recent memory. So Bitcoin did come back down around there. I'd probably be looking for wick lows down around there, and then very likely Bitcoin closing back above, let's say, $46,000. If you see something like that, again, I'm looking more for bounces and lows within this area rather than continuation first and foremost. But hey, if Bitcoin does close below the range lows, I do have to get bearish on that for continuation at minimum down to the prior massive low that we did see again on the 4th of December at about $41,000 to $42,000. And then of course, that's going to be the big bad one, because if Bitcoin starts to lose that level, then it no longer has probably the biggest point of hopium right now, which is actually very relevant. I mean, I use hopium as a term of endearment here, but basically that would be the weekly higher lows. And well, I mean, we still have higher highs, obviously, but even coming back down and taking out that last higher low, that would be obviously rather concerning. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are calling this a head and shoulders right here as well. Could you call this a head and shoulders? Actually, you could in this case, but what would be confirmation of this as a head and shoulders for the long term? Well, the neckline is, guess where? It's right around that 41 or more like $42,000 region. Any sort of a closure below there or a wick below your current range lows of the weekly would very likely initiate some pretty nasty moves to the downside. Probably looking at targets down towards $32,000 to $33,000 if that condition were to be met. But here's the thing, and here's the point that I really want to wrap all this up on, is that there is a bit of hopium, or actually, hold on. Before we get into the hopium point, maybe we talk about lower term timeframes, because I haven't really spoken about that much at all here. So let's get into that right now. Let's look at 4-hour momentum oscillators. What do we see right here? We do see that volatility is actually rather high, and we do see that 4-hour RSI is going to be having a chance to put in some drives of bullish evidence between this point and this point. Obviously, this was a low that was, well, actually, we're not even lower than that low right now. So no, there would not be. In fact, I apologize. In fact, there's not even possible at all. Let's see, maybe like a 6-hour over here. No, that's also not going to work, because we're obviously not in lower lows as well. You know what? I take all of that back. The lower term time frame hopium, not so much when you put it to the test right here. Maybe on an hourly, we have something to be aware of right now, and a little bit of a bounce very likely implied from our current region on the short-term timeframes. I think 48.3 to 48.2 is certainly within the realm of possibility. But here's the thing: as long as Bitcoin is below 48.7 or 48.8 on those medium and higher term timeframe closures, it is technically a lot more likely to go to the downside than the upside, with targets presumably speaking at around the 200 simple on the 2-day right here, which would be just under $46,000 to be fair. And then the question is, where do we actually close upon tomorrow night's daily closure at 7 p.m. Eastern time? Anyways, with that in mind, maybe we just briefly check out momentum oscillators over here, and then I'll talk about the hopium, of which it's still very much relevant. But looking at the 4-hour right here, we actually will see. We'll see the 4-hour Stokes turn to the upside above 48,520. Of course, this has corrected rather heftily over here, but not going to be turning up unless Bitcoin gets another $600 rally within the next 41 minutes and 24 seconds. So we will obviously update on this later on in the stream here, because that will be within the context of the stream. But for right now, going to be a bit of a trudge right there. We do see that the buy hourly is going to be turning up above 47,500. That is good, obviously building below the 4-hour, and then the hourly is also turning up above 57,515. We should actually check out the 3-hour here as well. Yeah, 3-hour is going to be turning up above 47,850. And so we kind of see the different, a bit of the opposite of what we saw yesterday. So yesterday we saw them all corrective, and they were kind of building on top of each other. Now we see the opposite with building on top of each other, but from turning up here. So this is actually a better bounce signal, to be fair, but all of those trajectories need to be maintained within those closing time frames. Then if we go to the 12-hour, I'm curious what we see over here. 12-hour still corrective at best below 51,250. Again, I don't think Bitcoin's doing any busting action to the upside above $52,000 anytime soon, to be fair. And then daily, like we said earlier, is going to turn down below 47, which would be rather nasty. I imagine that spot price action has already done that. In fact, it has below 51,200, and I suspect that we see the same things over here. Yeah, we do actually. So these ones are pretty much in line with each other. For what it's worth, spot price action on the 4-hour will turn back up with a 4-hour closure above $48,000, which it's only about $50 away from right now. So we probably see a little bit of a bounce attempt here first before anything else. The question is, does the bounce get back above about 48.8 or 48.7 on a medium or higher term time frame closure? If it does, then I would be looking at this as probably your next higher low, and that's going to play into the best of the best hopium that I can find for you right now, which is this essentially. So let's go back on over here to the daily CME signal. We're doing you know exactly what we're doing, but I do want to include this new piece of information that I was suggesting yesterday, as we're seeing it come to fruition right now. So what is it? Well, basically we did mark off with all of these blue vertical bars right here, all of the same interpretations of the daily stochastic momentum for CME specifically, testing into the same areas on this bottom green horizontal bar right here at about the 11.5 region. All of those were met with some pretty impressive bounces, even within the context of very nasty, hefty, and very intense downside markets. And even the worst of these iterations, even the worst result of these did produce, a 25 to 30% move to the upside. I'm getting 28% this time, but the smallest like move of my mouse makes a humongous difference right there. But basically around 25% or so to the upside. And thus far from this signal given, have we gotten a 25% move to the upside? Well, let's measure it out right now and see if it's relevant. And no, we've gotten about 13.5% to the upside, which is good. But even on the worst of those iterations, historically speaking, we've been getting about 25%. And again, that is the worst. The second best one for reference, the second best iteration of that one for reference, again, in a very, very nasty downside market, was right here. And this one produced almost a 50% bounce. The one before that, obviously, was right on over here. This one also, a little bit more than 50%. And then this one over here, all these were eventually failures, but all of them were actually above 50%, except for that one that was 25%. So, this would be a bit of an outlier, statistically speaking, which I do think is worth knowing. And then on top of that, I marked off the 3 ones that we can look at down here in the red circles that are the most similar to each other in conjunction with the one that we're currently working on right here, which basically is a fractal of the signal where you see one base pop back up to the critical zone. That gets rejected. Second base also rejected. And then it bases a third time on the green horizontal and heads up. Okay, so let's go back onto this example over here. These 2 examples over here. The March 2021, we see just one rejection. The second one is accepted. Again, Bitcoin does take another like month and a half, 2 months after that in order to bust on through to the upside, and really never looks back ever after that, to be fair. But you'll notice that within that like next month and a half to 2 months, there was plenty of, ebbs and flows on this price action. I remember that one vividly, and I'm sure that anyone who was around here for more than, I guess that was like a year ago or a year and a half, or maybe 2 years ago now. I don't even fucking know, man. It was a while ago. Then, it was a very intense time, actually. No one was really sure, including myself. Anyways, looking at this one over here from December of 2018, where Bitcoin had a lot more of a similar signal to the one that we're working on right now, with 2 rejections before the acceptance right here. This one took even longer to consolidate. This one going all the way from that final acceptance in basically basically January of that year, all the way and resolved into April, in fact. So all of that is to be considered within the same context. Now, I wanted to mark off the next sort of set, and this is the new information on this signal that I wanted to present on this video, as we did yesterday as well, and kind of follow up on it. But basically it was this. So you see this other green horizontal bar right here at about the bullish control zone, the edge of it at the 60 region right there. Anyways, sorry, I'm reading some of the comments right now, man. anyways, we do see, a rejection at that 60 read after the first acceptance of that major signal. So where does that come in around? Well, I marked it off with not the horizontal, but the vertical blue line right here. And as you can see, the double rejection correlates perfectly with the double, it's technically a double top right there, to be fair, and you get your first pullback. In this pullback, it's actually rather aggressive. You see that it pulls all the way back to pretty much your first low and bottoms out. And this is actually even new information right here, bottoms out at the 618, or let me actually do this properly. There we go. Bottoms out at the 618 right there. Very interesting. Remember that number as we're going to test it onwards and forwards from here. But anyways, again, takes a long time. You see that first move into the green bar, and then boom, big pullback to the 618 on that consolidation. Let's do the same thing for this one over here as well. Again, I do have the blue vertical bars correlated with the green horizontal right here for the same area. And guess what? That is your pullback area right here now, isn't it? Now let's see, how far did that pull back on this one? Well, or let me actually do this for closing bases right now. There we go. Oh, and what do you fucking know, man? That pullback comes exactly to the 618 on that first higher low after that signal was given. Very, very interesting. Well, and again, I actually haven't done this before this stream here, so I'm kind of just rolling with this one, but we can do the same thing for our current setup right here. Again, Bitcoin is getting very, very close to that edge of the bullish control zone right here, and you can see that it's starting to, ebb in its momentum, as you can see. Still remains with a bit of upside momentum as long as above 47,000 bucks essentially on a daily closing basis. So today's closure will be rather important. But thus far, where has Bitcoin gotten to on its current pullback? Exactly at the 618. I actually did not prepare this one, but just, symmetry within the market. Weird shit, man. But basically right here, which is very interesting. Very, very interesting. So so now that I've kind of done that, if we are going to see this signal hold to fruition, what we would be expecting next is that Bitcoin essentially doesn't close below, let's say, $47,000. We do see over the next 48 to 72 hours, Bitcoin do something like this. Let me actually get rid of this one right here because we've already played that out. But something like this where, maybe it closes somewhere in here today and tomorrow, and then pops back up, confirming a higher low within this region right here, and then the hopium is on it once again above 52,000 bucks. If you see something like that, that's going to obviously be really, really good for Bitcoin. I'd have no problem targeting moves back up towards 57, 59,000 bucks, and we can all be happy once again because we're rich by doing nothing and sitting on this fucking dead asset. So with that said, I do want to leave that one right there. Hopefully that was in some way helpful, and there you go for Bitcoin, sirs and zers. That's one, man. All right, sweet. Let me turn on the alerts over here. I'm going to, oh my God, that was 36 minutes long. I apologize for that. Talking your fucking ears off, man. Anyways, let me take a sip of this water. We'll get into the comments for right now. Tora Digital says, how do we only got 90 likes? I think maybe your thingy hasn't updated yet. We got 700, which is pretty damn good, man. I'm very appreciative of that, man. Look, we used to, I've never I typically don't overtly ask for likes on these videos. I want it to be organic and everything. So, fair enough, man. Fair enough. Anyways, let me scroll down the chats over here. Let's see what we got for today already lined up. I think Jack Jansen is first. Says, Senor Krown Crypto Muchos near BTC 4-hour daily, por favor. And I'm just gonna throw in my own por favor right there. But sure, man. Near USD over here. Remember, this one was one of the best overall charts coming into last week, and it's still one of the best charts right here. Yes, you are getting your first pullback after the major weekly breakout. I think I charted this one out yesterday, saying a pullback down to about 12.35 is certainly within the cards, or 12.5. We got down to $13 thus far. I think that you might see maybe one more wick to the downside. Anywhere around that region is fine. Just want to see bounces and no closures, specifically below 12. Let's just call it $12. Make it nice and simple on a daily. If you're on a weekly, then it's 12.35, pretty much, very, very close to each other to begin with. But ultimately, I still look at this one as a breakout in progress, and I treat this one as uptrending, especially as long as you're above the 55 right here, as those LARP lines continue to work in this case. But coming off of extreme reads like this on daily BBWP, I think that you are going to be going sideways and consolidating at best for, a little bit of time, and probably sets it up for a move in early January, as we only have a few more days left in the trading month for December. Sir, why are you laughing over there? Why are you laughing over there? Oh, okay. No laughing. All right. Fair enough. I need to play this Trump clip for everyone. It's so fucking funny, man. I wonder if I can find it right now. Oh, man. If I can find this is just the fucking best, man. This is the best. Hold on. It's got to be... okay. Doesn't like... Let me just see if I can find this, man. This was so fucking good. I think it's actually right here. Oh, my God. Did I find it? No, it's not. I want the video. I want the damn video. Where the fuck is it, man? Come on, show it to me. It's just people posting about it. What is this? Basically, Trump saying that he's not a fan of Bitcoin. I need to find this video, though. It's so epic. It's so good. It's so Trump, too. It's like, man, if you subscribe to either one of these fools, that being Biden or Trump, goddamn, man, I pray for you, sirs and sirs. Maybe I should try to make an attempt to understand what you're saying, but what the hell? Why can't I find this? What the fuck? You bastard! Oh, Google is letting me down today. Oh, well, whatever. Perhaps I'll find it for tomorrow's stream, but man, it was just so fucking funny. Anyways, if you don't get yourself censored, all you have to do is say the V or C word for that.
Near BTC.
Oh, near BTC. Okay, yeah, we can do that really quick. Near BTC over here. Apologies on that one, ma'am. I'm trying to go on my own accord right there, and I'm discounting what you're actually asking for. It's the same chart, man, just different numbers right here. That's all. Anyway, short term, where can you see your pullbacks down to and still be completely fine? I mean, technically speaking, like 2,100 satoshis, but I would say anything around your breakout trend line at about 2,350 or so is fair game. Short term, I'm still kind of looking, for a bit of an extension on this pullback. If you're on a 4-hour time frame. If you're on a 4-hour time frame, I guess you could kind of cut this as a bit of a, as a bit of a range right here. That being below about 2560. If you do see that area taken out, I would be looking for a slight dip below about 200 satoshis or so to 2350 or so. It is kind of actually relevant in this case. Motherfucker, the stream's not working. God damn it. Elsa broke it again. Anyways, weekly and higher term time frames are still basically a breakout right here. So I'm long-term bullish on this one. I'm just kind of looking for a bit of sideways and short-term down into these regions, and then very likely into the beginning of 2021, or sorry, not 2021, but 2022. I am looking for, I'm probably looking for continuation to the upside just after a bit of a short-term sideways and downside correction here. I would not be calling any sort of upside resolution on this one anytime soon until you actually do close 4-hour doubles back up about 31.50 in this case, Satoshis for what it's worth, sir. Anyways, let me pop back on over here. Let's see what else we got next. And I think it is time for some Mr. Luke Faulkner Hall. What's up, man? Good day to you as well. F hour? What is F hour? FTM 1 in 4 hour. Okay, got it. Maybe a bit of a typo right there. Elsa's sign in the background because she's, I don't know, maybe the chat's going crazy today. What is the issue then? Anyways, 1-4 in daily. Sir, you're not. Okay. All right, Elsa, well, whatever. Anyways, okay, daily, again, still grinding up against your range highs right here. 4 hour actually does look pretty damn good and very, very staunch as it does consolidate it around that 235-ish critical region, but that is not a 4 hour resolution in this case. I really want to see this close a 12 hour or a daily above that same region. Again, 235 and about a half in this case, and would be looking for this one to put in a nice move back around your prior range highs, about 275 to 290 or so. Sorry, more like 280 to $3 actually. Sorry, 280 to 290 or so, just wherever this blue box is right here. Until then, where would I essentially confirm a bit more of a girthy pullback before then? Well, again, I don't call a breakout on this one until at least a 12-hour closure on that one. Until then, I would be calling a bit more of a greater pullback with any sort of a 4 hour closure below about $2 in this case. And in that case, the target would be about 190. Below 190, things do actually start to fall apart yet again with big moves back down towards your prior base lows in the mid $1 regions. But for right now, it is in a more bullish posturing. Obviously, the weekly did have a pretty damn decent closure right here as well. I'm sure that people are going to call this head and shoulders. It is actually not. But hey, going back down below 150 would be fucking devastating nonetheless. I mean, no matter what you call that right there. So ultimately, it's kind of a long way of saying that nothing's basically changed here over the last day. But because of the way that the medium and higher term timeframes are consolidating around this critical 235-ish region, it is starting to look a lot more like it actually does push through this region. I think just a little bit more short-term sideways right here. I do want to quickly and briefly check out the stochastic momentum on this one, just to see if it's kind of supporting that case in the short term or not. And daily will be turning down with any sort of a closure today below 232 and a half actually, which it's actually right at right now. So it basically saying that if you do close above that region, momentum regains to the upside, you do have a range resolution, and you probably do play at that next nice move to the upside. Obviously 12 hour is going to be corrective as well below 240. 4 hour is going to be popping up above 223 and a half. Bi-hourly shows upside above 2.25, and hourly shows upside above 230 as well. So it's kind of on a ticking time bomb. Basically, I wouldn't say it needs to do anything. Price action never needs to do nothing, but if it's it either happens today or you do probably come back down towards your 190-ish region and then get to play out that fun move, and then we'll come back to it after that. But hopefully that was helpful, man. And there you go, sir. Sweet. Let me just make sure that no one jumped head over here. And nope, we're good over there. A dingo ate my Satoshis. Nice one, man. Can you provide your opinion on Bitcoin tap in the center line of the Gaussian channel on the weekly? I haven't really been watching the Gaussian channel, to be honest with you, but we can pull it up over here. The Gaussian channel is also not really something that I watch too much on the weekly. It's something that I use on the daily and 5-day, funnily enough. But first off, the interpretation is incorrect. Because the midline is actually all the way down at 39,000, so that has not happened. So no, I don't think whatever you're saying is not consistent with the information on the chart right here. And let me just double check. Yeah, I mean it's testing the top side of it, which is that a bad thing long term? Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's. I mean, obviously being above it is going to be good long term, but the question is that usually when we do see it kind of test into that region, especially close below the top side, that is when your greater corrections long term do essentially occur. But we haven't really done that just yet. It's kind of been dancing around it here. I want to see an open and closure below it, and then I would be looking for corrections down to the midline. But no, we do not have a test down to the midline. No, maybe you're talking about a 5-day. You did see that on the 4th of December, obviously, yes. Again, though, that that move's already played out, and there's not really an interpretation of this as long as you're essentially below the top side and above the median of this. Until then, it's just telling you what kind of we're already saying on price action. But I do think that price action is a little bit more direct in this one because $52,000 does seem, at least to me, an actionable area to begin with. So above there, instead of about 53, which this one's actually rising, so it's even above 53 in this case, is more relevant. At least in my opinion, I think that would be front runnable. To the downside, it's rising up. Obviously, probably does come around that $45,500 to $46,000 number relatively soon, which is essentially my range lows as well. So, naturally speaking, it should align with that. But other than that, the question itself, we're not looking at the same things, obviously, or at least your interpretation of it is not something that I can find consistently with the chart. I'll put it that way. But hopefully that was helpful nonetheless, sir. That was a dingo ate my Satoshis. Steph Wilson says, hello, pronoun. Hello, sir. Oh, wait, what? Luna, USD, Binance for and daily. I love you as well. All right, Luna, let's see how this one's doing. I haven't looked at this. I don't think we even looked at this one yesterday, come to think of it. Yeah, put in a little bit of a short-term top. It does look like right here on a 5-day. Technically a bearish engulfing for right now, but still with basically 3 days left to trade in, doesn't really mean too much. However, short term, yeah, do I think that we correct a little bit lower? Yes, I do. Kind of the same thing as yesterday, man. Yeah, we did look at this one yesterday because I remember it was kind of looking more corrective than not. But this one's showing a lot more of an obvious signature right here. This one's looking a lot more like distribution at the top right now. Probably does have one more move to the upside and then comes back down for the correction. Here we have Terra Luna symbol LUNA versus the dollar. And what do we have right here? We have a bit of a short-term range going on right now, and this is starting to shape up a little bit more like short-term distribution at the highs. Again, this is not to be confused with the very long-term. I'm actually still quite long-term looking at this as one of the better ones as far as charts goes. But for right now, any sort of a bounce that fails to get back above about $95 or so, $96 in this case, I would say very much aligns with this short-term highs right here being a bit of a phase of distribution. You can kind of look at it like this. Let me just do the yield curve right there, something like this. So again, do you get another bounce off of your $84 region? I think that was the same area that we were looking at yesterday. Probably yes. That bounce can come up anywhere short of $96, and it's just it's just another lower high essentially. And at that point, I would be using the $84 region as a bit of a continuation point for a greater correction with targets down towards the low 70s, about $72. Let's say give or take about half a buck on that one. Daily, I imagine we do have many drives of bearish divergence at this point. We have one drive of bearish divergence right there, to be fair. And 5-day is working on a bit of a bearish engulfing dildo as well. Again, this is coming at the highs. You can't expect pullbacks and corrections. Obviously, this still has one of the better charts long term. I just want to be very deliberately clear about this. All higher term time frames are still more or less bullish right here. I mean, as it stands, this is your monthly. It's basically closing on highs, so that's not bad, at least in my book. But fair enough. For right now, I'm kind of looking at this one as more corrective. Very likely to come down to 72 in the coming weeks, and then where would be like my worst case scenario target? Worst case scenario for a continuation of the uptrend would probably be somewhere around like 70. Let's call it, give or take, a buck or two from that number. If you do start to see closure below that, then the uptrend will start to come into a bit of question here, especially on the on your higher time frames, and will confirm that that regular bearish engulfing dildo right there. There's such thing as a hidden bearish engulfing dildo. I was getting that confused with my divergences over there, which can initiate corrections much further south. Again, I don't want to get too ahead of myself right here, and I want to reiterate my stance on the higher term time frames that this is still long-term bullish. I'm just looking for correction from here, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, we don't see any sort of not even potential for hidden bullish divergence right here. 12 actually looks like it wants to kind of dump down into the mid 70s right now, to be fair. So I'm looking at this one as corrective at best right here. I don't think that this one's ready to make new ultimas this week, for example. I think at earliest would probably be late January, early February is looking more likely in this case, assuming that you basically just don't lose that $70 region, especially on a higher term time frame closure. Hopefully that was helpful though, and there you go for Terra Luna, sir. That's what, man. Let's see. We got BK next, says CRV USD on the 4-hour and daily. It's PCAT. Oh, sorry. BCAT. Okay, gotcha. It is Atom Long-Term Weekly. Gotcha. Okay, Atom Long-Term Weekly. Is that just the time frame that you want to be looking at? I don't know. Looking at a weekly over here. I do like it on the higher low schedule right there. You do see many drafts of hidden bullish divergence come off the lows, obviously. Do I think it's going to come back down and maybe base there again at the low 20s? Perhaps yes. But ultimately, this is just a nice long uptrend, and you do see that volatility is contracting into this as a higher low. So I am essentially long-term bullish on this one, especially as long as you're above this region right here. I guess we charted this one yesterday. It's the same thing. That being, you know, your low $20 region on a weekly closure. Until then, it's kind of the same thing as yesterday as well. I can't really get excited for any sort of, you know, long-term new highs and continuation, as long as you're especially closing below about $35.50. That would be the most like poignant and earliest I'd get, I suppose, excited about something like that. Until then, other higher term time frames like a 5-day or a daily, are they saying anything in the immediate? Yeah, daily, again, you know, you're just selling off I wouldn't necessarily say that she got all the way to your range highs right here, but close enough is close enough in this case. You know, very likely does come down. We do see some hidden bearish evidence right there, and we do see that well, volatility is actually going to be contracting to this one, so probably does trade down, I would say, at minimum towards about 24.5. If you do see a daily closure below there, probably do get one more drive at your current lows and try for another bounce off of your weekly levels right here. I really only get bearish on this one, and maybe bearish isn't even like the right word to be using, but like more long-term macro corrective until you close a weekly below that last weekly low below there. Yeah, this one probably gets shredded back down towards you know, your lower teens. I'm talking about like $12 to $13. Again, I'm not necessarily saying that that's going to happen right here. You know, monthly is still generally good long term, but short term corrective and a bit of sideways and down most likely implied. Can't get excited about something like this, you know, at minimum, as long as you're below about 35 and 60 in this case. Hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Theta, sir. Nice one, man. All right, cool. Now we got BK, CRV, USD on the daily, 4-hour, and weekly. Okay, let's see where this one's landed in the last 24 hours. Again, another one of the more strong ones, but selling off the top side of its range yet again. And I believe that we said yesterday it could come all the way back down towards about $4.50 region. That's completely fine. I still stick with that right here. It obviously corrected down already to $5, but that was only relevant for the short-term timeframes, and the daily doesn't necessarily look like it's in a great position right there. So I would actually be moving this down towards the 1 spot 272 and also the 55 right here. It is still just another higher low right there. Again, long term, I do quite like this chart on the weekly, as I've been saying a million goddamn times. This is kind of like your first correction after getting that first major continuation move above your prior all-time highs on a closing basis in this case, on the more recent information. And of course, the greater picture is that you do have a break above your accumulation ranges, which was your 369 tick right on over here. Anyways, more importantly with that, I remain long-term bullish on this one, especially as long as you're above, what was it, 440? 430, 440 or so on a daily closure. Short term, do we come back down around those regions? I think probably yes, but you're going to start to build up some drives of bullish evidence very likely on the next attempt to the downside, which the 4-hour 200 is right around 440. So anywhere around there, I'm looking for, you know, some signals of putting in a bit of a local low. I want to see it catch a bid and then reverse over the next, over the next few days here. Still to the upside, same thing as before. You know, just like all the other ones, testing their range highs. I can't really get, I can't get bullish until we actually close above them, but targets long term would be pretty much right around $10 in the following weeks after that. So I still do like this one. It's just, short term bit of correction, and I think it comes down just a little bit more. Anywhere around 440 is fair game. Below 440, that's where things start to look a little bit more nasty, with targets back down towards your 360 highs. And at that point, I would not hold on to my long term bullish bias on that one. Based off the weekly breakout. TY says Bitcoin shall not pass. Yeah, man, we got some Gandalf resistance over here, inspired by our lovely little scene in the background right here. It's the best present. It's the best Christmas present I've ever received. But yeah, there's your Gandalf resistance right there. The 55 being a bully, man, being a fucking bully on price action. Taking a sip of this water right here too. Anyways, Nuke Tech, I see. Good evening, Krown and Elsa from a nuclear power plant in Florida. What? Oh, you're Nuke Tech. That's right. FGM on the 4 and daily. Yep, we already got that, so we are good there. I'll take a sip of this and we'll get to the next one. Nikki Page. Okay, Simps, read the pinned post for the love of Bear Jesus and send a super chat. If you continue to spam the chat, you will go on free vacation. Yeah, again, we do expect that people, we're always welcoming of new people within this community. But look, if you're not going to act like a real person who, takes the time to like write a comment as you would, let's say, in real life, you're going to be timed out and maybe even banned if you don't learn over time. Look, if you just come into a community and be like, FTM, 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 for example, people are going to think you're fucking crazy and want to avoid you, as usual, So think about how that would come off to other people. Like, you want to have a community of normal, relatable people, which I believe we have a strong core of. But I think that there's a lot of new people here that kind of take their bad habits from other communities, put them in here, and look, we're just, we have a very, very beautiful mod squad here. and they're not going to be dealing with that. And there's absolutely no reason to disrespect our mod squad. They are absolutely lovely people. Crescent says, hello, sirs. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. From the future, I'm guessing. Can you please do ANC USD on the daily and weekly? Sure. This is a new one for me. I don't think I've ever seen this, in fact. Let's see. ANC. Okay, it's on Phoenix. Can't be that bad. And KuCoin. Okay, could be bad. Do we have more history maybe on KuCoin? We do actually. Okay. Weird chart right here. Generally in the channel, but we do see those rising bottoms. So I do look at this as accumulation coming off these lows right here, but that does not mean it can't come down and give another drive towards those lows. Now I would get bearish on this one, not necessarily where it's at right now, but below about $3. And that would be, yeah, that would be rather concerning. It looks like the stream is buffering a few times here. Please do let me know if there's some issues with it, as yeah, it is a little bit laggy. I can see that. I don't know why that's happening though. Like it still works, but I want it to be smooth. I mean, we pay good money for gig internet right here. Anyways, you know, short term, do I think this one comes back down and tests around your channel, or sorry, your rising bottoms? Probably, yeah. Again, especially if Bitcoin does as well. If you're on very, very short-term timeframes, I'd actually imagine a bounce first, maybe into a lower high around 360 or so. But I don't know if that's relevant to you, because I think you're on a daily and weekly. Daily, fine as long as you're above about $3, or sorry, daily and weekly, fine as long as you're above about $3, and then I'll be calling a big bad breakout above about 445 basically on any time frame closure. I imagine 4 hour probably does this one as well. Yeah, you see all these wick highs coming in around that region, so any sort of a closure above there, and I would be targeting your prior meltdown regions from, I'm guessing, May, and yes, it is indeed May, at 5.25 to about $6 or so would be the targeted regions after that. This is assuming that this one continues with this higher low fashion. You know, again, can very easily come back down around here. That's fine. What would not be fine, and what invalidates this and turns it into just a nasty, well, and very nasty bearish move, most likely, would be any sort of a higher time frame closure below $3. That $3 base right there, very important. Cool. Let's see. What do we have next? I think we have Chase Craft. Man, Chase Craft. It's been a while, man. Hopefully all is well, man. Had some serious demons recently, and your streams mean more than you know. Well, I'm glad to hear that, I guess. I've been thinking about you a lot too, man. I've learned so much from you and your. Hey, man. Look, I don't look at myself as a positive person. It's just an easier way to get through life. And honestly, like, most things are positive. You know, most things are either neutral or positive. I mean, pretty much everything is neutral, and then you subjectively give your analysis onto it. But I mean, I guess if you have the choice, I mean, would you rather make it positive or negative? Probably positive. Depends though, man. Depends who you ask. Some people would probably say that I'm pretty fucking negative. It depends what in context, obviously. There's things worth getting excited about, and there's things worth not getting excited about. There's things worth giving a fuck about, and there's also things worth not giving a fuck about. In fact, that is probably one of the biggest things that I've come to realize in my own life. It's like you have to do something, but you can choose what to do, and you might as well choose what to give a fuck about rather than just give a fuck about everything, because that's just overwhelming and probably does make you like really jaded about the whole world. So, you know, there's definitely things worth getting worked up over, but at least you get to choose those things. That's kind of my mentality right now. Let's see. David Snari says, have a lot of layer ones. 14-day TA, please. What? Sir, what the fuck? Ticker and time frame. Must be new. Look, man, I'm not trying to speak downwards towards you. I don't know what the fuck you're saying. Have a lot of layer one. So am I supposed to look at every layer one? We can't do that on a stream like this, man. I can look at one of them. I don't know. Let's pull out AVAX. How about that? AVAX is cool. Probably have that one, I'm guessing. Here we have Avalanche, symbol AVAX versus the dollar. And what do you know? We have yet again another range play. Sells off on the top of your ranges, and this is always why. You know, it's usually better to be a bit of a range trader than not. Probably coming back down and testing around your low $100 region right here. Which is kind of the midline, also the 0.5 Fibonacci, and also the 55 exponential right there on the daily. That is not super concerning long term. What would be super concerning long term would be coming back down below about $80 base right here. However, the reason why $100 is very much relevant is because any sort of a daily closure or even a 12-hour closure below that region very likely does send this one back down at minimum towards your low 90s, and then probably does actually reach towards the $80 base right around here. Until then, I think the hopium is something more like this, where you pop back down, set another higher low somewhere around about $100, and then do a little bit of that, I'm putting another higher low and blah, 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 blah. Again, the big bad area to be aware of is the 127 and a quarter region right there. Above there on a medium or higher term time frame closure, I'm looking for at minimum another retest of your prior ultimize of 145, and then very likely new ultimize towards about 170 or so for the next move. Until then, just be aware of where those major areas do start to change around weekly. For the next 14 days, I don't know I don't have a fucking crystal ball, man. That's not what technical analysis is. Technical analysis is not that fucking good, man. But looking at AVAX over here from a weekly, again, long term, I'm gonna like this as long as you're above $80. It's just that doesn't mean that it needs to go up like today or tomorrow or this week or even next week within the next 14 days. But if I do look at the very long term, represented by monthly here, which is not going to be too helpful in this case, this is still setting up for a pretty damn good early 2022, I imagine. Bi-weekly, same shit as well. It just looks like we probably correct first into that bottom side of the range, just personally speaking here. But hey, that's how to play the ranges, and hopefully that was in some way helpful. And there you go, sir. As the fucking video boofers again. My apologies. Cool. Chris Biolo says, Krown, please check out PYR on the 4-hour daily. Wish you guys the best. Hey, wishing you the best as well, man. Okay, PYR. Yeah, this one was, it was one of the really strong ones like a couple months ago. And then I think last we saw it had like just this devastating, pullback. Yeah, pullback crash. That's what that is called. Let's see. Do I have a chart for this one still? Yeah. Oh, what do you fucking know, man? The LARP line's still working on this one. Again, that is not the purpose of the LARP lines. The LARP lines are just kind of just show, what's somewhat likely, I guess, or what it would look like if this one does end up being bullish. But this one is starting to lose its midline in this case at about 2470. And 2470, even closed below it yesterday. Probably do look for this one at minimum to retest around your prior wick lows from that last little accumulation at about 2340 or so. Below there on a daily closure, I do look for this one to fulfill your 6th of December and 13th of December wick lows yet again. Still, however, I do actually refrain from getting like super bearish on something like this until you actually do crash back down below those. That would be your full-on macro reversal. And at that point, you're probably looking for, at minimum, your next move down to like $15, and then probably long-term looking at like $12.50. But for right now, the hoping is that you continue doing this with a little bit of short-term downside implied. I imagine the 4-hour is going to be a little more on the same side as that. Yeah, kind of the same thing as Bitcoin right here. Look, whatever direction Bitcoin chooses, this one very likely falls. I don't think it's strong on its own, to be quite honest with you. But basically, Bitcoin back up about 48.7 to 48.8. This one starts to look pretty damn good as well for what it's worth. And probably reclaims, I'd imagine, like 25.5 would be the equivalent of that. Until then, long term, just difficult to get excited about this thing as long as you're below about $34. Doesn't mean that I can't get back above there. I think that this one's going to be going sideways at best for a while here. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for that one, sir. Cool. Let's see. I think we have Mr. Pepperoni Face next. Hey, can you please check out? Oh, sorry. Nikki. No, sorry. Nate Green's next, actually, and then Nikki. AVAX on the 4-hour daily. Yep, we just did that one, so we're good there. If you want to request something else, just tag Elsa and let her know. Okay, Nikki Page is next, actually. Matic on the 4-hour and daily, please, from my friend Big Boy George. Love it. Yeah, I appreciate that, Nikki. I appreciate you a lot, Nikki. You've been really, really great help. Okay, so Matic over here. We actually haven't looked at Matic today. I'm guessing this one's probably corrective as well. Holding up better than a lot of other things in this market right now. But yeah, I do think that this one corrects a little bit further south, to be fair here. Let's see. What we like that to come down towards. Should we record this one as well? How many videos do I have for today? Maybe it is worth recording. Maybe it isn't. We got another Simps episode coming later. So yeah, maybe I'll hold off on that. We already got a few videos, I guess. All right, cool. Matic. Again, same thing as yesterday. I still think that this one has a little bit more downside to go, somewhere around about 240. It kind of got there yesterday, kind of didn't get there yesterday, but I would be looking for a better 4-hour bounce around that region. Let's hold on. The 4-hour right here is kind of already showing a bit of a bounce first. Look, I actually don't think I have a good idea on the 4-hour. On the daily, I do think that this one eventually will correct down somewhere around about 220 to, 2.25 to 230 or so. That's really where I'm looking for the next higher low. That's also your weekly breakout level as well. So, these areas are kind of common to retest. Again, long-term, very, 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 very good here on all higher term timeframes. Here's your bi-weekly, here's your monthly, like all of this is good. It's just where do we find that next higher low? Do we find it basically at that 240-ish level, which kind of already tested into? Maybe. I think that that's a little bit more aggressive than what I would be comfortable with personally. I like to play off the 55 on those higher lows, which let's just see where momentum is right now. And, if momentum's really turning hard down against it, then I'd feel a lot more confident with saying that it does come down to that 2.25-ish to 230-ish region. Daily actually remains to the upside as long as it's above 254. Sorry, that's an hourly. Apologies. That is nowhere near a daily. 4 hour is going to be turning back up above 258. Okay, actually still below it right now, but within striking distance. Bi-hourly is up above 248, and then hourly, as we already saw, is up. 12 hour is hard down below 290, and daily is hard down below 269. So I'm a lot more leaning towards maybe a short-term upside move. In fact, the hourly does look like that right here. Basically just playing in a bit of playing off your range lows from the very short-term time frames. I just find that the hourly is actually better in this case. Any sort of an hourly move basically back above this little last lower high at about 262. I would be looking for this one to put in a rally first before anything else, that being targeted up towards about 270-ish region. That would be the area, however, that you're looking for on a lower high on the shorter term time frames. If you are looking for the next move down to about 230 to 225 in that case, that also implies, by contrast, any sort of even like a 4 hour closure above 270. This one starts to look a lot better again, and you probably see your consolidation range between about 2 3/4 and your current base at about 245, rather than lower at the 2 1/4 to 230-ish region, which I think is still pretty damn possible right here. Yeah, we do see hidden bullish evidence right here on the 4 hour, but this is not a strong drive of that. You're also not seeing low volatility on this, what would be a higher low as well, so that's not the best sign in my experience. It'd be a lot more obvious and a lot higher hit rate if we did have those two things in conjunction. Both the 12 hour and the daily do make me think that this one does test a little bit lower first. Again, that's fine. Yeah, 2-day and 5-day. I mean, all of these are bullish long term. The 5-day was just a backfill. Okay, I guess I would kind of narrow it down to just a short-term time frame right here. Look, if you do pop back above about 270, that's going to be a really, really good signature for putting in this consolidation at a higher level rather than coming down to the 230-ish region. No matter which way I cut it, though, all higher-term time frames are bullish, especially as long as you're above 2 1/4, which is, you know, very far away on something like this, which is trading about 2.5 right now. So hopefully that was helpful, although I didn't really I don't really think I had the most helpful analysis right there, but hopefully the ranges were in some way useful right there. Again, this is probably a setup for like early 2022, not for this week. This week is sideways at best, in my opinion. Let's see. I think we got who do we have next? I think we have Mr. Pepperoni Face next. Now he's up. Zava USD on KuCoin. Okay. XAVA. Okay. Is this like a Avalanche scam coin or something? I don't know. It just seems like it has a very similar name right there. Anyways, not good. I would be looking for a bounce relatively soon at around about 8 3/4, somewhere right around here. I guess I have charted it before, whatever it was. It did not hold whatever the fuck range I was looking at right there. So short term, I do think that it does come down around there. Probably gives you another pity bounce around that region. Anything that fails to get back above $12, just another lower high in a trending format right here. And well, you know, should be waiting for an actual break of 880 to the downside before I get like super bearish on this one, meaning targets down to like $5.50. But for right now, you know, this thing went parabolic to the upside, and the way you go up is the way you come down, typically speaking. This one's come down about 56.5%. I know that does sound like a lot, but on these very new altcoins, they can get shredded. 70% is kind of the going rate, typically speaking, and it's not out of the ordinary to see 90% down on a lot of these things. To be fair, though, you know, you're very likely going to set up for a bounce very, very soon. The question is the bounce basically get back above, I think it was $12 we were looking at? If it does, that's going to be your next sort of somewhat good sign. But again, just like the other chart that we looked at best, I think it's going sideways here. And this is hopium. I want to be very directly clear with you. This is fucking hopium right here. Like, this is a parabolic blow off top. Wouldn't be surprised to see it do one of these. Just a nice little red dildo party. But hey, that's why I do mark off these ranges. And instead of getting my opinion on them, you know, just have to wait for an actual range resolution right there. And below 880, big problems. Big fucking red dildos. Big problems. Cool, or well, maybe not so cool for you, actually. Sorry. Let's see. Ted Bed says, what?
PIYR was the wrong chart.
Okay, we can try that again. Maybe include what exchange you want to be looking at right there. I guess it was a little bit different than this one. Let's see. I think I was looking at Binance or KuCoin? Which one was it?
Your chart is good except Bitrex.
Okay, so all right. Well, looks pretty damn similar over here. At least I think so. Yeah, I'm looking at KuCoin right now. Still based off the same area that we had from last we looked at it, I guess. Does not look strong right here. Any sort of a closure below 1567. Okay, you're right. Yeah, it is a little bit different chart. This one's already broken down, obviously. Any sort of a break below 1567. And I'm looking for big red dildos down to about $11 or so. Yeah, so this one already kind of hit the downside target of the, I guess, the wrong chart that we're looking at right there. 4 hour. This is looking like great distribution, to be honest with you, man. Really do not like these lower highs. Again, the hopium is that you do something like this, you're just going to bounce off the $15.50 region a few more times maybe, and then your next sort of good information would be back up about 23.5. In this case, back above there, I think that the hopium is a lot more relevant. Until then, it is a bit more hopium than not, and your range resolution of the downside is quite near below about 1560 in this case. Any sort of a medium or higher term time frame closure below there, and I would be looking for big moves down to like $11 and maybe more over time, but probably very likely to bounce around $11. Until then, how much has this one corrected? I imagine it's probably already done this 70% correction. Hey, what do you fucking know, man? The going rate had once again at that. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, not good right there. Cool. Ted Bed says, hey Krown, check out Vader on a few time frames. Okay. Chart is on Dex Tools or Defined. No, it's not. We're not going over there, man. Sorry, but we do it on TradingView over here. We can look at it versus Ethereum. I remember that we have looked at this one before. So this is Ted Bed. Yes, I'm just looking at this one right now. Yeah, it's... Yes, I see. I will look at them right now. Okay, for my request, can you change it to Vader on TradingView for 1 and 4 hour and daily? Sure. Daily is, we looked at this one yesterday, didn't we? Yeah, and we said it was looking a little bit toppy right here, and looking for that pullback, and I think that we're getting it right now. Now, technically, and I know that I did chart this one out, I did mark off, the 174,000 butyrol region. Look, I know that I should be waiting for a closure below there. I think you're very likely to test around that region, probably within the next 48 hours. Personally speaking, I do think it's a bit more hopium than not to say that it's probably not going to break below there. The daily is starting to look a lot more like an actual top on this one. It is very new, to be fair, so you can't really put too much weight on that, but look, any sort of a closure below, I think it was 174,000 butyrols right there. I am looking for this one to correct heavily, somewhere down to the 130s to 140s at minimum. However, there should be one more bounce here at the 174-ish region. That bounce, however, anything below basically where you're at right now is just another lower high, and this is this is a bit of short-term time frame distribution right here on the hourly, as you can see, and hourly is also poised down as well. I mean, this is just in the most simplistic sense, lower highs and lower lows, and well, that is not an uptrend. So corrective at best right here. Big problems below 174,000. I imagine you probably get at least one more bounce off this region, but assuming the bounce just doesn't get back above basically where you're at right now at minimum, that is more hoping than not. So hopefully that was helpful, man. Cool. And thank you for understanding, man. That's also really helpful, just because we can't really go off all of these different thingies. We just use TradingView over here, because I also wouldn't have my regular tools on those ones as well. Anyways, let's see. I think we have Taylor Davies next. He says KAI on the 4 hour and daily. Okay. Not familiar with this one as well. Cardiach. Yeah, we've looked at this one. Now I recognize the name. I don't know which exchange is going to be good on this one, but I'm going to guess Bittrex maybe. This one actually has a really good history here too. I mean, not like a really good history, but like a long-term history. The history of it is, I guess, okay, but short-term, is it more likely to come back down to base than not? Probably yes, that being around 7 cents or so, low 7 cents, about 7.25 to 7 even. Actually look at this as an accumulation range, basically between your range highs. This would be kind of like akin to Bitcoin at $52,000 with this one at about 9.2 cents. A break above there, great. I'd look for this one to continue on with the macro general uptrend, although it is rather sloppy, but fair enough. It ain't bad right there. But for right now, this is a clear rejection. You're back down below the median of the ranges. Your moving averages are telling you that this one does trend back down, very likely towards your range lows. In this case, that's somewhere around 7 cents. Let's give or take about 1/4 of a cent from that region. 4 hour time frame on this one. Same thing. I mean, it's really sloppy on the 4 hour. It's not really helpful for me, to be honest with you. Again, I actually like this one long term, as long as you're above about 6.25. It's just probably going to be taking some time. I think at best you're probably doing something like this, right? And then maybe break back above that critical 9.2 cent region. Short term, what would look really good for this one would be, I would not be aggressive on something like this. Anywhere above your prior range highs, that's good. That's good, obviously. And again, you're probably going to see that accompany a move by Bitcoin back to 52. And above 52, more importantly, that would look really good. But for right now, you know, I'm a lot more inclined to say that it does fill out the downside of this range a little bit more and probably spend some more time going sideways here at best. Big problems obviously below 6.25. I don't actually necessarily think that that's what's happening, but if that were to be taken out, I'd be looking for big moves down towards 4.5 cents or so. El Ray Leon says, hey, Krown and Elsa, what's up, man? Happy New Year from Long Beach, my fucking man. Can you please check out Solana on 4 and daily? Sure. Happy belated birthday to Elsa as well. Nice. Okay, what was it? Solana. Yeah, here we go. All right, I got it. Actually, I already have this one charted out over here. Let's see how this one is doing for now. Yeah, a little bit of a failure right there. So we almost hit the 210 target. It's actually about 209. How high did we get? 206.33. Yeah, not necessarily right there. Anyways, what are we doing on this one? You are looking at a 4 and daily. Let's go to a daily first. Same thing as all the other ones, basically. You know, where's your range high? It's going to be, I guess I was a little bit too aggressive on this one by about $1. I was saying 196.5. This one is the high side of the range on a closing basis, about 197.5. Wake basis is basically this 206 number right here, I'm guessing. Yeah, 206 number right there. So I'm actually going to get rid of that one because anywhere back above there probably does gun for the 225 to 230-ish highs. Anyways, for right now, again, kind of similar to Bitcoin, you know, anything above, you know, 155, 160-ish region is, you know, it's going to be a higher low, but it doesn't mean that you can't come back down and do something like this, right? So I do think that if you go down to a short-term time frame, like a 4 hour, I mean, it's not strong right there. Again, you know, short-term, weak as fuck, as long as you're below about 188. Above 188, it's kind of the same thing as Bitcoin above about 48.7, 48.8. That would look good and put it back into position of power. But for right now, I think you're probably setting up for a bit of a short-term bounce, I imagine. Kind of similar to Bitcoin. Do you have some bullish divergence building up on maybe an hourly here? Kind of, not very strong. Buy hourly, do we have anything over here? Going to be building up a very small drive of a 4 hour, not so much. So yeah, maybe one more short-term time frame bounce off this region. Again, anywhere around 188 to 190-ish region is fair game. As long as you're below, let's call it 188 on a 4 hour closing basis. I'm looking at this one as more likely to kind of come back down, trend towards your current lows, and then the hopium, or, you know, it's not, I wouldn't say it's hopium. I mean, this is very much relevant right here, but the idea would be that you put in a higher low somewhere right around there, and then long-term, you'd be doing something like this, as I just refreshed this chart basically, but you'd be doing something like this where you do have basically your highs coming in there and your rising bottoms coming in right around here. That would be okay as well. But for right now, you know, Bitcoin seems to be running this market. So as long as Bitcoin is looking a bit more corrective, it's just not very wise to be looking for like major moves on altcoins. And, you know, for what it's worth, Bitcoin on the very short-term timeframes could very easily put in a bounce relatively soon here. Just want to see back up about 48,100 on this last little rejective high. And I do think that we're kind of setting up for that relatively soon. The question is, do we come back down and maybe put in one more slight drive to the downside, like 47? Definitely possible. Hey, thanks for that, Green Machine. But do you have a comment, sir? Do you have a comment? All good, man. All good. Let's see. Where to leave off now? We have Bro Science. Nice name, man. Also nice avatar, man. Quite jacked. You're looking at ENJ. Sure. Time frames would be helpful as well, but I can just do like a daily and 4 hours. Typically, that's what people kind of ask for. But looking at the daily right here, same thing as all the other charts, right? Well, same thing as all the other charts, but where is your actual range highs for the daily? In this case, not back down below there. That was relevant for a 4 hour. That would be, in this case, above about 340 or so. And right now, you're in the median of the range, and short-term timeframes are just looking the same thing as Bitcoin right here as well, right? So what would be good in a short-term time frame? Popping back above about $3 in this case, taking out this last little rejective high. But again, you know, it's like, is it wise to be getting excited about this thing on a daily as long as you're below that last range high at about 335, 340-ish region? No. So, you know, we have to really synthesize down and make sure that we're talking about the same time frames here. If we're on like a 2 day and a daily, does this one suggest that it's going to come back down and try for another bottom at your range lows, maybe something like this? I think this is a little bit more likely, to be honest with you. Again, that's going to be precipitated by a Bitcoin move, very likely somewhere down around that 47, maybe even a little bit lower to $46,000 region. But again, anything above there is still a higher low, and this one is actually long-term good as long as you do remain above the 2.25 region right here. I just don't know if that's relevant for you because it is rather far away, and that would be, you know, that would be implying that this one does take its time. Weekly, again, I do like this chart, just, you know, a bit more corrective right here. Can't be excited about it as long as you're below, again, about 335. Let's say, let's cut that range to the middle right there. Nice and simple. And actually, just out of curiosity, what does a monthly look like? Nah, not the picture of health and fitness right there, but not devastating either. I still think corrective here with a little bit of short-term downside. Let's see. Sean Waller says, good morning, ENE and Simps. Please check out FTM BTC. I think we did it versus USD for sure. Let's try, I guess, maybe Bitcoin. Let's see if we did not do that one yet. Oh, wow. Really fucking good right there. Holy shit. Look at that monthly, man. Yeah, that is the picture of strength and fitness, actually, or health and fitness. Wow. Really, really good. Really, 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 really good. Versus the Bitcoin pairing. I don't know about the US dollar pairing, but regardless of that, what time frames are you looking at? 1, 4, and daily. Let's start actually with the short-term time frames right here. Let the trend be our friend in this case, man. This one actually broke out. I'm looking for short-term continuation towards about 5,000 even Satoshis. Probably does get a bit of a short-term pullback right there. All higher-term time frames bullish on this one. Weekly is just continuation, man. I'm looking for this one to have a really good early 2022, actually. 5 days, same thing. Bi-weekly, same shit. All of this is good, man. All of this is really, really good. Kind of cruising around. Where does it come into a little bit of short-term issues? That would be back below your last higher low on the 4 hour. That's about 4,200 Satoshis. Until then, a bit more of short-term continuation, probably around about 5,000, just above 5,000, let's say. Pulls back, I imagine, and then you look for higher lows, probably in your mid 4,000s in this case, and that sets it up for a good early 2022. Daily is just continuation right there. Yeah, it even had a bullish engulfing yesterday as well. I'd just be looking for higher lows and pullbacks, man. Presumably around like 4,500 after that next short-term target is hit. Long-term, where's your big bad breakout level? That would be with a daily closure above that same 5,000-ish region, 50, 40 if you want to be super exact. Above there, I would be looking for a retest of your prior all-time highs and very likely be on into new all-time highs into 2022. Again, a very impressive chart right here. This one corrected extremely aggressively. Yeah, 54% right there, but reclaimed it almost fucking immediately from a daily. That's amazing, man. Definitely one worth watching over here. Thank you for bringing that one up. Cool. Let's see. Let me just make sure that I'm at the right angle over here. Okay, we are good. We are good indeed. Let's see. We are at Mr. Mark. He says DNT USDC. Is this what I think it is? Yeah, it is what I think it is. Holy shit, man. I remember hearing about this one back in 2017. It sounded like an absolute scam, and according to the chart, it was a scam. We can go to your exchange, man, but this is going to be a lot more useful over here if you're looking at higher term time frames for what it's worth, which you do not include. So I don't really know where you're going with this one, but basically, I think ranging at best, just like most of this market, with probably short term downside implied. Anywhere down between about 12.5 to 13 cents is fair game. That still would actually be another higher low. I don't get like full on bearish on this one as long as you're above about 12.5 cents, but below 12.5 cents, big red dildos, man. Big red dildos probably back down towards this low over here. I imagine like 10 to 10.5 cents or so. That would look pretty fucking nasty. Weekly, again, I don't know what time frames are going off of right here, but not my favorite chart of the day. Not my favorite chart of the day. Monthly, also not my favorite chart of the day. At least it did kind of test around its 2017 highs, so it's not like that big of a scam. It's just kind of a scam, I guess. Look, I'm using scam as a term of endearment. I come from the times of 2016 and 2017 where pretty much everything was a scam. What would be good on this one? Obviously right here above your 1580 rejective range highs would look pretty damn good. That would be my non-scam area yet again, where you can probably look towards moves back around your prior weekly range highs, which is going to look a lot better for maybe like, I don't know, late Q1 of 2022. Again, not the strongest chart on its own, definitely relatively weak. So yeah, I think I'll just leave it right there, man. I'm going to take another sippy sip of this water right here, and then we'll get to Mr. Leska. GMAD11 says, chat, type 1 for bear market or 2 for bull market, time frame the next 6 to 18 months. That's actually an interesting question. Maybe I'll send out a poll on like Twitter or something. That actually would be kind of interesting, just because that is kind of relevant actually. Anyways, Lexa says sushi on the 4 hour and daily. Gotcha, man. All right, sushi over here. Whoopsies. There we go. Okay, type it properly maybe would be a good idea. Anyways, again, just playing range to range here. You can kind of see how these things operate, but just like all the other things that we've seen over the last 48 hours that have tested their range highs, pretty much all of them have rejected their range highs, except for like a few of the very, very strongest, like the strongest of the strong. In this case, I'm not really led to believe that sushi is that name, but I'd be running with the same analysis as before. Look, any sort of a daily closure above the same level, 9.25, I would be looking for big moves up, continuation up towards 11.30, 11.25ish region. That look quite good for the long term. But for right now, you know, it's kind of hard to be bullish on. It's kind of hard to be bullish on individualistic names, but if we do go down to a 4 hour, still looking actually decent over here as well. I would not call this one a rejection actually of that topside area just yet on the daily until you do close a 4 hour dildo back below about 840. If you do see something like that, I would look for corrections down to about 7.5 to 7 even-ish region. Would still look, you know, actually decent in the short-term timeframes here, but again, I'm gonna go off of market analysis here in the sense that most things testing their range highs are rejecting from those range highs. Technically speaking, you should be, or it's not you should be, but I would be in this same situation, waiting for a 4 hour closure below 840 to confirm a range high rejection with targets back down to the mid to low $7 regions in the medium and short term. Daily, do we see any indicator signals over here? Again, we're seeing very, 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 very high volatility. So we're seeing extremes right there already. We're seeing daily RSI get in the bullish control zone for the first time, you know, in a long time, which typically your first tests into those after a long time of being away do get pushed back. So I'm a lot more inclined to say that this one does trade back down. But hey, you know, the invalidation of that, or basically a validation of continuation to the upside, is just with a daily closure of about 9.25. That would look decent, I guess. If you're on a 4 hour, or would I even use a 4 hour in this case? I don't think I'd use a 4 hour in this case, just because towards an upside resolution. I'd only be aggressive on a downside resolution in that case, to be honest with you. Cool. All right, let's see what else we have over here. JSNM says S fund for in daily, please, sir. Nice, man. You're very consistent with asking for this one. Let's pull it up over here. Let's see how this chart's kind of followed through. Whoops. Do you want to? We could look at it versus Tether, I guess. Actually. Yeah, okay, we did chart it versus Tether before. Okay, again, did come down to our lower level at 834, 835 essentially. Probably looking for maybe a short-term bounce off this region right here, but this is not a strong move down around there. Now, here's the thing. You will be building up 1, 2, 3 drops of bullish evidence on the 4 hour. If you do confirm a local low, how do you confirm a local low? Unfortunately, it's going to take a little bit of effort on price actions part, but I'd say back up about 911 would do it for me on a 4 hour closure. Could I use an hourly in this case as well? If I'm using an hourly, I'd say $9, yeah. Just above $9 on a lower term time frame, and then yeah, you will start to confirm local lows, which will print not hidden, but regular bullish evidence all the way up to a 4 hour, maybe even a 6 hour as well. Yeah, it actually would be on a 6 hour as well. So, you know, you probably do bounce before anything else. Bounce targets upon confirmation of that would be back up somewhere in the mid 10s, like 10.5. I think best it does the upside is like 11.25. Long term, good above $12 on even a medium term time frame closure. But until then, you know, short term, a little bit more in a bouncy posturing right here. I just want to see it actually confirm some local lows, and then, well, the game is on as to whether it gets back above $12 or not. If it fails, then, well, anything resembling a lower high likely does lead towards continuation. In this case, next target to the downside upon your low side range break would be 685 or so, 685 to 685 to about $7 or so. What's up, Mr. Sidhu? Good morning to you, man. CVX. Okay, this is Convex, I believe. Yeah, it's a reward token. So I imagine that most of these things just get sold into oblivion. Okay, that's not a helpful chart. Maybe we try this one. This is actually a much more helpful chart right here. Pretty damn good, man. Actually, very good right there. Daily and weekly. Yeah, man. I mean, it's just a general uptrend. Maybe we can find some with a little bit more history would be rather helpful. Okay, Polonic's about the same as well. I guess maybe OKX. No. Okay, so OKX and CoinX are actually the most useful ones in this case. Generally speaking, I'm going to like a chart like this, obviously. If you're on a daily and weekly, weekly's not going to be too helpful here. It looks like one major wick to the upside, but I think when you go down to the daily, it becomes a lot more obvious that this is just, you know, kind of a liquid, and I favor the trend in this case. Corrections down to 37 are completely fine. I mean, shit, man, this thing could even correct down to like mid 30s if it wanted to, but for right now, this thing is just trending the upside. 4 hour is continuation, hidden bullish evidence right here. I didn't ask about this time frame, but because this one is a little bit on the newer side as far as charts goes, I do think that the lower term time frames are more accurate and more useful, and actually suggesting continuation from here for what it's worth. Invalidation of continuation from here would be with a 4-hour closure below about $40 or so, just below $40. And I would be looking for a correction first down to one of those targets that we gave out, namely the $36.5 to $37 region. However, you know, if I did have to chart the daily, which I'm not really going off of much right here, what do you see? You do see a bit of an accumulation range between about 35 and 19. Coming back down to retest the highs of that is fine. However, I'm not actually looking for that. This is one of the few charts today that I'm actually looking for sideways and up from here. You know, can I come up with targets for something like this? I guess the best I could do is maybe something like this. It's not going to be too helpful, but to be fair, it actually did hit the 2 spot 618 right there, and it did correct all the way. Oh my god, that one corrected really fucking harshly right there. But I'd probably be looking for one more test up towards that current high. Long term, if it starts to close back above there, especially on like a 12-hour or daily, I guess I do look towards upper 60s, like $69 to $71 or so for the next move. But man, that's a hell of a move for some that doesn't really have much history here. For right now, I actually do still favor the upside right here. This is actually still pretty damn good. Again, invalidation just below $40. Hopefully that was helpful, man. Cool. All right, Tyrion Lannister, appreciate that, man. But a message is also good as well to go over that. I'm happy to chat it out, man. I think we got Super Googly next. He says, Matic BTC 4 on daily. Nice, man. We looked at the US dollar parent. It was a bit more on the short-term corrective side. Long-term still pretty damn good. So let's see the Bitcoin parent over here, which I imagine is maybe a little more forgiving. Kind of the same. I am looking for corrections within this region. You know, hit around your prior closing highs right here from May timeframes. You know, it's likely to pull back from this region. I just want to be very clear that this is not like a bad thing. I mean, it actually did kind of test this region right here already. And that is your weekly closing high. So maybe I am looking at this from too small of a view. Let's go to a monthly as well. All higher term timeframes are bullish. So the question is, where does this next corrective higher low come in around? Let's see, what does a 4-hour look like right here? All right, here's how I do it in this case. 4-hour, I'd play the range. Oh, it actually it's already there. 5120-ish region. Any sort of a closure below there on a 4-hour, I would be looking for this one to come down somewhere between about 47 to 4800 satoshis. That is where I'm looking for on the next sort of higher low, in line with the daily 21 right here. On a really nasty downside wick, I guess I'm looking somewhere maybe around about 43. But ultimately, what I really want to focus on here is the long term, which is good. We have one of the few charts today that again looks very good long term. You're just in a short term corrective phase. And for what it's worth, my 5-day and weekly are just coming back down to retest your prior highs. This is like a typical bouncy area. So that's why on the shorter term time frames, like a 4-hour right here, I'm hesitant to just blindly call continuation without a first closure below about 5120. So for what it's worth, this one actually among the stronger ones, certainly just short term, a bit of sideways here. I imagine it probably comes back down and tests around there, but testing around there is not the same thing as a break. So maybe something like this. Gives another, gives a bit of a short-term accumulation in line with the higher term timeframes, which are actually very, very good on this one for, again, an early sort of 2022, I'd imagine. Cool, man. Let's see. Thomas Stan says Peloton on the weekly monthly. I'm guessing this is a stock, Peloton. Let's just double check over here. Yeah, Peloton, huh? You're looking at a weekly and a monthly. You're looking at buying puts. Man, the time to buy puts was on the break over here with volatility very, very low. Volatility on the weekly is extremely high right now, man. You're going to be overpaying for these puts. Look, look, man, I'm going to shoot you straight. You're fucking shorting the bottom. You're a lot more likely to bounce within this region than not. And you're paying an exorbitant amount for premium there too. Not a winning strategy in my experience, but do you have a little more downside on this one? Maybe a slight more move towards about $30 or so, which might be relevant to you, might not be relevant to you, but you're going to be paying premium for those puts, man. So you have to be thinking about that. It's going to be a strike plus your premium is going to be, your minimum just to fucking break even. So I don't know, man. I don't like that trade. You buy premium only when you're selling some other premium, or if you're buying quote unquote cheap premium, which the time to be doing it was when volatility was very low, like you saw over here in middle of October, and that would have been the time to do it. You'll saw a range break as well, man. I honestly think that you're shorting the bottom, and it's, while you do likely have one more move to the downside, maybe around $30 or so, if you have an opinion on direction, you do that with stock. You don't do that with options. You really don't want to be playing direction with options. unless if you're combining it with stock. What you want to be doing with options, you want to be playing volatility. So in this case, you're coming into a low a lot more likely in this region than not. All momentum oscillators are, suggesting bounce relatively soon after maybe one more move towards $30. Again, your weekly and daily volatility are the highest it's been ever. Again, it's your money. I'm not here to be your dad nor your financial advisor, but I would not take that same trade myself, put it that way. Cool. Speak Needs says, Iron Mountains Incorporated weekly, please. And thank you both for all your time. Hey, man, my pleasure, man. I don't have anything better to do, dude. But a ticker would be really helpful. Yeah, we can close the super chats. 1:30 right now. Iron Mountain Incorporated. Okay, so this thingy right here, I'm guessing it's this thingy right here. Can you not delete them like immediately? Anyways, I can see it over here. Weekly, please. Gotcha. Really good. Really, really good. Really, really good. Really fucking good, man. Just a straight moonshot right here. Anyways, let's see. Where is this one in the grand scheme of things? Let's see. Are we at any major fib targets? Very close. Very, very close, actually. I would be looking for a bit of a correction in your mid 50s. I think that you got maybe one more drive there. In fact, you very likely have one more drive there. The daily is just a straight fucking moonshot. Again, as is the weekly, as is the monthly. But I would be looking for pullbacks in like the mid 50s and probably another consolidation sideways for a bit. Long term, on any sort of a weekly closure above, let's say 55, I would increase big targets towards 61, 62 bucks off of that. But this is really, really good right here. Let's see, what does the quarterly look like? It sounds like you're on a very higher term time frame, so I just want to be direct in saying that, and maybe it's not relevant to you, maybe it is, but there will be ebbs and flows in this one, but any sort of corrections down to like $50 are fine. This one is long term extremely good as long as you're above 45, basically. As long as you're above 45. And I'm actually looking for continuation from here. I think you're going to see your next correction relatively soon, but it's going to probably only be relevant for your shorter term timeframes. All higher term timeframes are bullish here for what it's worth. Personally speaking, I think that you're probably going to see into like the 60s before you start talking about like highs being put in just yet. And even then, I'd want to come back and see it after that, to be honest with you, just because, a lot can happen and it might just be reaccumulation after that. This is strong as fuck. That's your log scale right there too. So obviously something fundamental is going on with this, especially in the current market conditions. Cool. All right. I think we have Mr. Nimai next. He says, Oh yeah, Tyrion. Okay, yeah, he was a little bit earlier. Gene USD on FTX. Okay, gotcha. Gene USD. Okay. Yeah, I can pin your message. Did you post it? Yes. Where? When? Post. Post it now. I don't see, sir. Okay, I see it. I found it. All right. You're looking at a what? At an 18-hour? 18-hour? What the fuck? Why? Looks like shit no matter what time frame you put it on here, so why not put it on a fucking 18-hour? It's probably going to bounce relatively soon. You typically do get pity bounces around your all-time lows, but that doesn't change the fact that this is just a garbage chart right here, which is what I believe we probably said last time we looked at this. I do remember this name. Short term, going sideways at best as long as below 1390. Above there, I do look for corrected bounces. Maybe even as high as like $19 or so, but long term, that is fucking OP, man. A little bit too new to be looking at a higher term time frame. Like, I don't know why an 18-hour for. I'm just curious, man. I'm not trying to like dissuade you. I'm just generally curious. Why an 18-hour? Would kind of make a little sense to myself. Now, I do think that you're getting ready for a short-term bounce right here, but does the bounce get back above 1390 or so? If it does, I'd be extending targets, I guess, up towards like your upper teens, 16, maybe even $19, or was it $18 or 19? I think it was like 19, somewhere around $16 to $19. But long-term, man, this is a bunch of hopium, to be honest with you. This is fucking hopium. This is what your real chart looks like, garbage. It looks like garbage, man. Again, I'm not saying that you are garbage as a person. I'm saying that this chart is garbage as a chart. It's terrible, man. Absolutely terrible. Nothing bullish about this thing at all whatsoever. As long as you're below 1390, above 1390, I'm just looking for corrective bounces into lower highs, perhaps even all the way up to $19. But a very new chart, so not really much to do with it. I do think, for what it's worth, that you are closer to a bounce here than not. Maybe after one more swipe of like $12, but any failure to get back above 13.9 is just another lower high and likely leading towards your next major continuation move down towards, I'm guessing, like $8 or so, if that does fail. Let's see. All right. Leo says, Ola, Krown, is options profitable? I want to learn options, but doesn't look profitable. Any advice? What the fuck? That's right, man. No one's who's ever traded options has ever been profitable. What? Sir? What? Sir, I showed... Look, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, and I'm not the fucking best options trader of all time, but certainly my mentors are much better than me. But I did show you from this summer, over like the course of 3 to 4 months, I built up my account from 13 Bitcoin to like 36 Bitcoin. Anyone could do that. Look, what's going to make you a profitable options trader is by learning fucking options. Obviously, if you don't make any... Man, maybe it's like a language. It's probably like a language thing. Otherwise, I feel like this would be an easier question. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding. Perhaps maybe that's it. I don't know, but yes, you can be profitable with options, but you can't just buy fucking blind options. Here's where people are typically not profitable with options. They treat options as like extra leverage and lottery tickets, just like buying fucking options, buying calls and puts, like people do on Robinhood, for example. That is not going to be profitable long term. You're basically gambling, and the house is going to win long term, obviously. And yes, every once in a while you have a win. But here's the thing: speaking of someone who actually used to be a market maker, authorized trader for equity options are priced in a way. The way that we would price options is that we know that we have a fucking edge over you, the consumer, or whoever is taking the other side of the trade, every time, always. And we're not playing directions on options. We're either making volatility plays or doing direction neutral strategies like the conversion reversal markets, which is just going to be, well, really only relevant for people who are market makers to begin with. I mean, you could do it else, you could do it as a retail as well, but it's going to eat up a lot of your equity. So that's kind of the give and go with that, I guess. Okay, we got JSMM. Okay, we got, no, it's Nimai. He says, Metis versus Wrapped Ethereum. Gotcha. And god damn it, my stream is boofering right there too. Internet, what is going to be, what are you going to think of next? Metis, another one of the strong ones today. Now, I do believe we looked at this one maybe yesterday or the day prior. Whatever it was, breakout above your 0.325 region. Good. Did initiate the next major move up towards the 3.618. I do look for corrections within this region though. Yeah, I do look for corrections within this region. You're going to start to print some regular bearish evidence on the 4 hour, but I don't know if that's... Okay, you are on the 4. Okay, got it. Here's the thing, though. I'm not bearish on this chart long term. This is a fucking good, great chart. Again, another one of the few charts today that we've seen that is bullish. Now, what would be rather concerning for the long term would be what? Would be any sort of a 4 hour closure below basically your breakout level that we had from, I think it was maybe yesterday or the day prior at 0.032. Below there, I do look for this one to correct heavily down towards, 0.025 region. Until then, I am kind of looking for a bit of sideways correction right here. Anything that resembles a higher low within this region, and maybe a bit of sideways over the next week or two will look pretty damn good. Well, any sort of a closure above basically your highs right here at the 3.618. I guess I'm looking for massive moves. Yes, I mean, that is just ridiculous, man. I guess that's why people like altcoins. But in this case, I get somewhere around like 0.05. Fucking insane. I'm like running out of fibs here to pull on this one. It's really good, actually. Quite surprising. Let me take the full range in this case. I'm just curious. Okay, interesting. So did I do this right or not? Well, here's your real range right here, in my opinion. Yeah, I think I did do this one right. Or no, I had it like this, I'm guessing. Kind of depends where you pull it from. Still, basically what I'm trying to say is that long term I'm bullish on this one. Short term, probably looking for a bit of a short term correction. Let me pull it up from this direction. I'm getting a bit stumped on this one because it's not super clear to me. So maybe a healthy amount of I don't know is the proper answer. Okay, daily will turn down below 0.0394. So looking a little bit more potentially corrective here. 12 hour turns down below 0.042. Okay, we're starting to get somewhere now. 6 hour is already down below basically 0.04. 4 hour is also corrected below about 0.04. Yeah, I'm a lot more inclined to say that it does put in a bit of a short-term high right here and probably works its way back down towards the range lows. But again, that's not bearish. Long-term, quite good. Just, corrective right here. And long-term, probably in January. So late January, let's say. Probably tries another move to the upside. But man, that is a hell of a chart. No matter what time frame you put it on. Really fucking good right there. Wow. Holy shit. That is amazing, man. That is amazing. No wonder people like this stuff. Fair enough. Yeah. I don't feel too confident on this one, but probably more short-term corrective than not. But short-term corrective is not a reversal. Reversal talk doesn't happen until you're back below like 0.03 or so. Okay, cool. Sweet. I think we have Mr. MM next. MM's here. Holy shit. Trias 1-4 and daily. Sure, man. And Happy New Year to you as well. Okay, Trias. Let's blow it up over here on KCoin, and yeah, looks very similar to most of the charts that we've seen today. Probably looking for bounces relatively soon, anywhere between about $9 even and $9.35 or so. Kind of depends on what time frame that you are looking at. Also just deleted your comment, so I can't pull it up, but it's all good. I think I got it. 4 hour and daily right here. Anyways, where do you get excited about this one yet again to the upside? That would be above about 1183.5, basically your last rejective highs from 2 days ago on the 27th. That probably is accompanied by Bitcoin, working its way back up towards $52,000. But for right now, just like Bitcoin, you're kind of coming into a bit of a short-term bouncy area. I don't know if that's relevant to you or not. I do think that this one very likely does gun for your range lows yet again. And to be fair, this one actually does have lower highs still, even on your, pretty much on all time frames that matter for current direction. Now, here's the thing. Long-term, this is actually a fine chart long-term. I mean, what are you doing on the daily right here long-term? Like over the last almost a year now, you got the same highs, you got rising bottoms. You know where I'm going with this one. I mean, that's generally good, but that does imply that you can very easily test back down towards about $9 or so, and that would be kind of a part of this complex low forming right here with confirmation back above that 1190 high from a couple days ago. That would look really, really good with targets back up towards $15 plus. Until then, where do I get bearish on this one? Basically below your current range lows, which is right here at about about 835 or so. That'd be actually rather problematic and imply moves back down, at minimum towards 7.5, probably more like 670 in that case. Until then, going a little bit sideways at best here. Understand where the hopium is, but also understand that it is a little bit of hopium short term. You're probably looking for Bitcoin to lead that one if it is going to bounce first. And Bitcoin is, are we showing any evidence of bounce just yet? Probably going to test the lows currently. You are starting to build some bullish divergence on the hourly, so it's good, but it is just an hourly after all, so it's probably not gonna reverse you back onto all-time highs. For example, bi-hourly will have an ever so slight drive as well here, but I do think that this market generally comes a little bit further south before having a legitimate chance to put in a potential higher low on your higher term timeframes there. Cool. Let's see. Juvian Official says, curious if you can apply TA to NFTs. Okay, we can check it. I imagine trends still work, but man, it's got to be a pain in the ass to find liquidity on these things. Yeah, you can already see it right here. I mean, this chart says it all. This thing doesn't trade for days on end. Now, obviously, there's a limited amount of numbers. There's a limited amount of buyers, probably even less buyers on these ones. But, you can see over the past week, there's only been a few trades. So while the number is very, very high right here at 43, 44 Ethereums, it doesn't mean much if you don't have buyers for that, obviously. So this is actually a really good sort of case study in terms of liquidity, because the numbers are so small that I think it's easier to understand. And anyways, you're looking at a daily, weekly. I mean, here, I'll tell you what you already know. It is an uptrend, yes. Problem is, we haven't seen a buy or sell since, oh my God. Hey, what the fuck? This is not updated. We haven't seen a buy or sell in like weeks. Okay, whatever this chart is, I'm going back to here on a daily, and that is coming in from 30th of July. We haven't seen a trade since then, is what it suggests, but it doesn't even seem like it's on the current time. Yeah, something's not right with this. I'm guessing there's a bad data feed. I think trends probably will matter with NFTs, but I wouldn't be like saying the RSI is showing bearish divergence. I mean, momentum's going to be hard to judge on something that barely trades to begin with. I don't think it'd be too useful, man. Limitations. TA is already pretty limited. Let's see. I think we got JDR next. He says, "Hey, man, all good, sir. Can you share your thoughts on HBAR4 and daily?" Sure. Let's pull this one up. We haven't looked at this one in like a week or two. Used to be really, really popular over the summer. Very similar chart to all the other things that we looked at recently. Tested your range highs from your last breakdown region. Actually did have a better reaction than most things in this market, to be fair. But rejected from your range highs nonetheless, obviously. And, well, I'm not looking at this as necessarily good just yet. You know, probably does do something like this if I had to guess, comes back down around your lows, sets in probably a higher low. Where's your next big area to be aware of? 34.5 right there. Above there, this thing starts to look pretty damn good. And long term, it does look good. This is good long term, no doubt about that. I mean, you do see your rising bottoms. You see the same top, you see the same highs. It's actually even a little bit more aggressive than what I had it priorly, but you know, this sort of a consolidation and accumulation can go on for a very, very long time. Very, very long time here. And do we have hidden bearish divergence accompanying this one as well? Yeah, we do. We do. So look at this, man. On the daily RSI, you actually have a, well, I wouldn't say that, but you do have massively higher highs on daily RSI correlated with lower highs on price action. I'm talking about this one right here and this one right here. I mean, this is a humongous divergence right here. So I'm a lot more inclined to say that this one does trade sideways and down, tries for higher lows somewhere in like your 20, I don't know, like low 20 cent region. And then assuming that you just don't close below your last low, well, probably I'm looking for this one to flip around, you know, over the next month or two. Probably you see Bitcoin do the same thing as well, but let's see, what about a 4 hour right now? This one looks like it's being sheared off a cliff right now, man. So yeah, and what do you know, Bitcoin actually coming down a little bit more in the short-term timeframes here too. So again, I stick with what I've been saying here. I do think it's a lot more likely to correct first, somewhere around the blue box. You know, if things get really crazy, maybe another drive towards 45.5. I just want to see some quick wicks there if we're going to get something like that. And that's where I start to get interested for my own trading behaviors. Anyways, let's run through the rest of these chats over here. I think we just got a few more actually, so this is good. The Better 101 says OVTZ, Oculus Vision Tech. Okay, so this is going to be OCTZ. Hey, sorry, man. We really had to close the chats a while ago. If you read the pin message, we do have to be wary of time here. Okay, this is a stock, trades OTC. All right, so it's basically a crypto, but actually pretty good. Actually pretty good, man. Let's see. You're looking at a what? Long term? Yeah, I would say it's a long term gen right here. Wow. Yeah, really good, man. Really, really good. This one just went through about 10, 11 years of accumulation. You can see this right here. And it's nearing resolution right now. I'd agree with you, man. I just want to see a closure above this above that like $1 number, and this one very likely runs towards your August 08, 07 highs. It's actually really, really good, man. Yeah, obviously going to be bearish below the last weekly higher low. That's at 39 cents, but pretty damn good, man. This is a long form accumulation. That's kind of what you can expect in traditional markets. Let's see. Okay, we did that one. I think we got Ravensler now. He says XCAD USD. Okay, XCAD. Okay, on KuCoin, and you're looking at 4, 12, and daily. Daily, again, short term, looking for some sideways and down here. I still like this one as generally putting in a slew of higher lows, but that doesn't mean that it can't come down anywhere between about 635 and maybe even as far down as about a 611 or so. I get bearish on this one below 590 on a daily. That would imply big red dildos back down towards, you know, 490 and maybe even lower. But for right now, short term sideways and down, just as most things in this market, I would call an upside resolution on the greater formation, which is not in correlation with that trend line, but this one right here. Above about 8.25. Until then, you know, still long term, this is a reaccumulation, and generally good long term. Just, you know, short term, looking for a little bit of sideways and down there. Cool. The Golby file says track USD. Did we do this one earlier? Was it another track name? Daily, weekly. Okay, gotcha. Let's see. Okay, origin trail. Another chart that's, you know, it's, I'd say long term pretty damn good. Pretty damn good right there. Generally goes up and to the right, which we always like. If you're on a daily and weekly, daily, where's your big bad area to be aware of? Same thing as before, which I've marked off at like 140. Daily closure above there, and I do look for this one to retest around your range highs at 190 or so, somewhere around here. Until then, it doesn't seem to be relatively weak. It actually seems to be playing against Bitcoin. But I would be calling another move back down towards your current range lows at about $1 even, with any sort of a 4-hour closure below about 122 in this case. Until then, this one's actually showing some relative strength in the short term for what it's worth. Still want to see it actually close above this region. Then yeah, looking, you know, more good than not. Yeah, and actually one of the few charts that we've seen today, again, that's a little bit more relatively strong, I would say. Anyways, let's see. We got Robert. I did do BKCRV like ages ago, actually. Robert Ford says, can we get Wax P? Sure. Ketos. Hey, nice. Got some finish over there. Wax P on Binance, 4-hour and daily. Not a whole still not a whole hell of a lot of history, but not great for the history as well. Probably looking at another run towards your 42-cent lows right here, I'm guessing. Yeah. Not a humongous fan of this chart, or at least whatever chart I'm looking at right here. Bearish as all hell as long as you're below about 53 cents. You saw another pullback into, or sorry, a bounce into another lower high on low volatility. That lower high did not have hidden bearish evidence on it, so there you go. It's not like, I guess, super bad. But any sort of a closure below 42 cents, man, on a higher term time frame, I'm looking for this one to come down significantly. I'm talking like down to 37.5 cent. Yeah, maybe get a pity bounce somewhere around there. Very, very bearish as long as you're below this region. This one would be a little bit more on the relatively weak side, already kind of testing around your range lows. Not the best. Not the best right there. Okay, we got that. I think it's Elijah Schmitz, and I think, yeah, him and Dan Day are the last ones. Nice. Sol BTC on the 4 and daily. Okay. We already looked at the US dollar pairing. The US dollar pairing did reject, I think it did reject. Anyways, you're on a daily and 4 hour. Okay. 4 hour, very similar to a lot of the other charts that we've seen today. You know, if you want to play the range, you kind of are at your range low, so you should be looking for bounces around here, that being 36,500 or so. You know, I shouldn't be front running a breakdown of this range, but when I do look at the medium and higher term timeframes, it's kind of hard not to say that it does look like it's a little bit likely to pop down to like 35,000. Here's the thing though, you know, I should stick with my rules until you actually break below officially, even on like a 4 hour closure below that 36,500-ish region. Again, on a closing basis, I wouldn't necessarily be looking for that move, but ma'am, long term, I'm still going to like a chart like this. Obviously it is basically something like this, right? Just one massive ascending triangle, but it doesn't mean that you can't come back down and test around the bottom side of this formation in the interim. Right. And then weekly, I mean, it's still good long term. I would only get long term bearish on this one below about 31,200. Until then, I think that a lot of this is an opportunity probably for Q1 of 2022, of which we'd probably check out the monthly. Consolidation at best, I guess. But I wouldn't say it's super damning just yet. Where do your big problems happen? I think we just spoke about that, but that would be below 32,000. Until then, let's see what else I to say. Getting kind of mixed signals on this one, but I'm not inclined to get super bearish on this one just yet. What would be good on a daily short term, back up about 39,800 or so, would make this one look a lot better in the sense that you know, it's well, not only is it not going to see those lower levels first, but it's probably going to test back up towards the high side of your range. You probably set up for a breakout in maybe like, let's say, middle to late of January. All right, Dan Day, you're the last one of the day, sir. Ethereum overview, please. It's all good, man. Hey, I appreciate those sentiments, man. It's all good. No worries, man. No worries. Should we do this one? Should we record this one? Maybe not. I think I already got too many already. Or maybe we do. Fuck it, man. Fuck it. I'm going to record it no matter what. Here we have Ethereum versus the dollar. This one obviously rejected our 4130-ish region about 6 times before tipping on over. But hey, that's kind of what you can expect on something like that. It did hit our downside target based off of the rejection at about 37. I think it was 37.50, the bottom side of that blue box. It's not really showing super strength within this region right now, so I am inclined to say that this one is a little more likely to probably put in a few more wicks to the downside, somewhere around your major wick lows, in this case low 3,700 or so, before the next sort of potential bounce. Shorter term time frames like an hourly, don't know if this is relevant to you or not, but I would actually call a decent bounce back above 38.50 on an hourly closure, somewhere back around about 39.20, maybe even as high as 39.50 or so. But still, this one is actually acting as one of the weaker coins in this market right now, already testing its range lows while most things are still hovering a little bit above. So keep that in mind. Now, is there anything that is more obvious on this one, maybe on a weekly? Yeah, you are actually just testing around your weekly 21 yet again, so I should be looking for bounces within this region. I just think that maybe one more wick to the downside. Here's the thing though, and I should be talking about, you know, worst case scenario as well, just in case. Not necessarily that I'm like looking forward to it happening, but let's see, where would I call a range resolution on this one? I guess below 37.50. On a medium or higher term time frame closure. I would look for a big move down after that point to 34.50 to 3,500-ish region, and that's kind of going to be my next major bounce region, basically around the 200 simple on this chart here, which has been getting around a lot of the current lows. But still, I do actually think that the weekly is okay. Just corrective here, and 5 days not. 5 day does suggest that we probably do come down rather aggressively, but we're just going to ignore that one for right now, as does the monthly. Look, the problem with this one right now is that it's not relatively strong. It's a little bit more on the relatively weak side. And if Bitcoin does play to move down towards, let's say, 47 or even below 47, this one probably does overperform to the downside, let's say. Still can't be bullish on something like this, in my opinion, for like a trending move or any sort of a powerful move, as long as you're as long as you're below the same area that we've had pointed out for a while now at 4130. And I think when we checked this one yesterday, let me just double check over here. Yeah. We're also seeing momentum oscillators turn freshly against this one whilst also having low volatility right here too. That's not great. That's the daily. 5 days nosediving below 45. Weekly is same below 44. 4 hour is probably gonna have a little bit of a short-term bounce here very, very soon. I'm looking for short-term bounces relatively soon. Be aware of where the short-term ranges are and then move it on from there. All right, cool. Nice one for Ethereum. Yeah. No, I didn't. So I'll just quickly do that one for VRA. Yeah, man, sorry about that. Sometimes we do miss some things here and there, but okay, yeah. So, sometimes it just doesn't come through. We have another not so interesting chart, but it depends what time frame you're looking at. If you're looking at a daily, we can do this one really, really quickly. Above 4.6 cent, good. Until then, I kind of the same thing to say about this one as most of the other things in this market. Probably coming back down to your range lows. I wouldn't necessarily get like super bearish on this one as long as you're above those range lows, which is about 3 cent even. Below 3 cent even though, this one very likely trades much further south, like 2.5 cents next target, probably more like 2 cent long term. But for right now, here's the hopium, and here's what I kind of think is happening with Bitcoin, something like that. But again, understand where the invalidation on something like that is, and well, hopefully that was helpful, man. But I don't know, maybe you also want to like a 4 hour as well. Yeah, not too great right there. Hard to be bullish on this thing as long as below 4.6. I think at best you're going sideways and a little bit of downside in the short term. And the hoping is that you're setting in a higher low somewhere kind of where you're at right now, maybe a little bit lower. Yeah, you're already like well below the 6.8 in this case too. So yeah, fair enough. I think I'll leave it right there, man. Just talk about the greater ranges on this one. But hopefully that was helpful, man. Holy moly, man. Holy shit. Or 2 hours on the dot right now. Perfect timing for that. Again, I do apologize to the late commenters, but we do have to, be a little more stringent with where we kind of close things off, just to be consistent. And we hope that you do understand. But there's always next stream as well. I need to get off, and I need to get off. No, I need to take care of a few things so that we can get prepared for the Crypto Sims podcast. Anyways, I want to say a massive thank you to our lovely moderator team. They've been absolutely lovely. They've been absolutely amazing, and all the best to everyone here as well. I see Tyler Gongloff. What's up, man? And Califros. No, man, we can't do any more requests. We have to shut it down, man. I really do have to get going on. But we'll be back on tomorrow. And we got another Sims episode coming a little bit later tonight. So with that said, take care. I want to wish you well, and we'll see you in the next one. Hopefully. Take care.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, fix or pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it, hype it, pump it, dump it, rinse, repeat, but quick relocate.